Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, presented by NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com. And another, highly unanticipated Monday Night Football game last night turned into something a little more exciting as the Chiefs decided to make sure that everybody didn't switch over to the other football game and start watching it right away, as they couldn't quite put away the New England Patriots. But the Patriots, who did so many things well in this game and coached the game almost perfectly, just didn't have the execution, especially at the quarterback position, to get the job done. And the Chiefs get out with a win that, hey, they've played 4 games. They played their worst in 2 of them. Or not their worst, but they didn't play their best in 2 of them and still won those games, which is another reason why I do think they have a chance to win them all this year, because that's 2 games that maybe they should have lost and they didn't. And in the end, they get the victory, and they don't really even have to sweat it right at the very end either. And, of course, we had a very interesting day of college football on Saturday. 3 different levels of performance, to say the least, from our locals. We'll go over that with Stan Weber once again, and I am fascinated to hear what he has to say about the defensive approach that the New England Patriots took in last night's game and whether it can be replicable. I shouldn't even have tried to say that word. By other teams going forward. All that's coming up next right here on the Reasonably Irreverent podcast. It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's become a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com and let Chad help you. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Stan, I don't know about your level of excitement heading into last night's game, but I thought the game had a lot of intrigue by the way the Patriots were playing ball with Cam Newton, running the football, being dedicated to it, somehow shrugging off great personnel losses and playing good defense. But once Cam went out, I was like, no way. I mean, Brian Hoyer had single-handedly handed the Chiefs their first playoff win back a few years ago in that 30-0 game at Houston, 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So I didn't expect anything from this game, but darned if Bill Belichick didn't have something again up his sleeve against Patrick Mahomes.
He does a great job, obviously, and after the Ravens game, we started talking about my reevaluation of what the Chiefs need to do in the playoffs, because that's what it's going to be about. Ultimately, the Chiefs are going to win the division. They're going to be the number 1 or 2 seed, probably the number 1 seed. Those things are not to be taken for granted. I'm going to enjoy every game and every play and all that, not get ahead of myself. But the Ravens game was featured as the game of the year. And after that game, I really believe the Ravens' style of football just doesn't fit very well with likelihood of beating the Chiefs, where New England can morph themselves into many more things and becomes more dangerous. So they've got players who've opted out on the defensive side. Now they don't have Cam Newton, so they're tying their hand behind their back, no doubt about it. But still, they have a plan. They have an ability to do things to cause havoc, and they did it at a very nice level. That said, I think we need to say the Chiefs won the game, and it is hard to win NFL games. And they won by a decent margin, 26-10. So when it's all said and done, when you don't play your best, you shouldn't be embarrassed. You just say, hey, we won the game and we move on. It's incredible, 13 straight wins for the Chiefs, including 3 playoff games. So congratulations there. But I do think the Patriots are a dangerous team down the line. Now, they may not even be a division winner, but that doesn't matter. If they're alive and you got to play them in the playoffs, I think that they're going to be a tough team, a dangerous team, and they showed you why. They brought a philosophy that really is different than anybody else. They played more defensive backs against the Chiefs than anybody has. You talk about playing with more linebackers and faster players and less defensive big guys, and that's been a talk of football. Jimmy Johnson spoke about that a long time ago, where he sped up the game on the defensive side. But the Patriots took it to a new level against the Chiefs on Monday night by saying, we're going to have basically as few linebackers as possible. We'll have a hybrid type of defensive end linebacker, but we need DBs on the field to cover everybody. And what does that do? When you bring smaller, faster guys, you open up the chance to be run against. And that was the big variable in this game. Would the Chiefs be able to run and make Bill Belichick pay for this philosophy? And the answer was no. The Patriots played very good run defense, and that allowed them to work the strategy throughout the game.
Yeah, and it was, and also they usually play a lot of man-to-man, but they played a little bit more zone in this game. And they only once fell victim to having Patrick Mahomes take advantage of that space in between his defensive line and defensive backfield. He just seemed a little bit confused out there. I mean, it sounds silly to say, and he still had a reasonably efficient game. Didn't really throw a touchdown pass. We'll get into that a little bit later. But he also was fortunate. I mean, the Patriots had 2 easy interceptions, and those 2 or 3 plays, Hoyer's play at the end of the half, those 2 interceptions, you tip those around, and maybe the Chiefs don't win.
Yeah, it's probably better to take it from a New England standpoint. Just forget our fandom and rooting for the Chiefs and following the Chiefs down after down in this part of the country. If you were a New England fan today, you would just be beating your head against the wall. Because not only did your team execute and give yourself a chance on a night you probably didn't have high hopes, it was right there before you, but then you have a guy early in the game, a reliable, very good player, drop an interception that's floated out in the middle of the field, which Patrick Mahomes rarely does. And then you have the other mistakes, obviously the officials' mistake in blowing the whistle early. There is an in-the-grass rule that they try to protect players, but I watch a lot of NFL games, and that whistle does not blow that quickly other places, and there's a fumble, there's an interception. The Patriots have the football. Those kind of things occurred. Patrick Mahomes also threw another one up for grabs that Tyreek Hill almost caught, so I guess you could say, but if I'm a Patriot fan, I go, my guy was looking at the ball the whole way. All he had to do is take 3 steps up with a little aggression, and he has a punt type of interception. So the Patriots have to be as frustrated as can be, missing out scoring opportunities. They should have went into the half. Even if the Chiefs played good defense, they should have led at the half 9-6 and had the ball coming out and taken a lot of time. But instead, Hoyer took 2 awful sacks, one completely unacceptable for even a high school kid to not throw the ball
right.
away, and then the first sack was just about as bad. They were going to tie the game. When you drop back to pass, the likelihood of you throwing a touchdown pass are not that great when you're Brian Hoyer and you're playing an exotic Chiefs defense. So he should have never allowed the ball to be strip sacked from him. He should have just said, "I'm not going to fumble." That should have been the number one goal: is I can take a sack, but I can't fumble. And sure enough, it happened twice when they're down in scoring range. So it was a very poorly executed game from those aspects for the Patriots. Bad luck on the officials, and it dropped interceptions. So they had their chances. The Chiefs keep grinding away, do their thing on offense. So it's more of a Patriots statement, like, how do we not get down to the last 3 minutes of this game with just a great opportunity to win?
Or be ahead, and they average 5 yards a carry. One other thing that you've talked about many times when we talk about this is continuing to run the football. They didn't have great success on first down running the football, but they kept after it.
They did, and the difference between what the Ravens have done so far as the most dangerous team in the NFL. I mean, other than the Chiefs, the Ravens are the other great team in the NFL right now. They just don't happen to match up well with the Chiefs at all, and the psychological barriers building as the Chiefs continue to beat them. But the Ravens immediately lose their focus and say, well, we can't be the Ravens anymore. We got to be an NFL team. Let's go throw the ball. And with Brian Hoyer as quarterback, no temptation to do that. Now, will Bill Belichick be as disciplined when he has Cam Newton there?
He had been
in the
so
playoffs?
far this year.
Probably. I believe he will be. But you just got to continue to run the football against the Chiefs because that's their weakness. And it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that's not their strength. And the other thing is, every time you run a first down, when you get a first down, you burn 2 more minutes off helping your defense against Patrick Mahomes. So it's a formula you got to believe in to say, we're not going to dominate the Chiefs. If we beat the Chiefs, it's going to be by less than a touchdown. That is, everyone needs to accept that. If they want to be a coach in the NFL and beat the Chiefs in the playoffs or regular season, don't assume you're going to separate. It's going to be a super close game. You're going to be holding your breath when Patrick Mahomes is trying to make a comeback. Welcome to any chance of winning. But to do it, you want him to have as few opportunities as possible, run the football. And the Patriots are a physical football team. And that showed up, when the Chiefs ran the ball, even though they're little guys making a tackle, they weren't dragging them down. Like you see in the NFL, how many times have we seen in modern football a tackle's an A+ from the coaches, like, good job for tackling him, even though you threw him down a yard and a half further downfield. That would have been unacceptable.
Right.
For most of our lives, Danny, you hit people and knock them back. When you make contact, they don't move forward anymore. That's what happened with the Patriots. You see the tackles? Those were legitimate physical tackles, even by the smaller guys.
Let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs' defense. Kind of hard to judge on this night. Clearly they're better. I mean, the Chiefs have gone from god-awful 2 years ago to at least above average. I don't think they're still great. You can run the ball on them. What complementary football is great because what Patrick Mahomes often does is take away that running game from the other team. But if teams stay with it, just about everybody's been able to run against the Chiefs. Chris Jones was out last night, but the Chiefs seem to play defense just about as well when he's a good player, but their defensive performances seem to be just about as good. Was that quite a good defensive performance, or was Brian Hoyer just bad because they gave up over 5 yards a carry, about 150 yards rushing? Hoyer was terrible. Where did the defense stack up? Because they're getting a lot of praise today.
Well, they're not getting an A+ performance, I don't think, but we can't be too hard on them. Here's the difference.
Oh, I'm not being hard on them. I'm just saying
saying
they won the game last night.
Let's talk about what you and I have spoken about for the last couple of years, and that goes all the way back when the Chiefs' defense against the rush was a sieve. When the Tennessee Titans in the playoff game just said, here we're coming, That's how bad it was. And that's not the midway point of 2019's team on Steve Spagnuolo's fully blossomed, well understood defense is different. But let me put it in these terms and see if this makes sense, Danny. When their defense is really poor and you could run against them, you could run for a first down in 2 plays.
Right.
Okay? You first down you run, second down you go past the first down marker and line them up again. Now, sure, you'd throw in some passes, but you could literally run twice and make a first down. That isn't happening against the Chiefs. You got to be pretty dedicated to the run because they're going to make you do it 3 times. Right. And often if you run it twice, they're sitting at 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 4, which in the NFL is like a 85% chance you got to pass. So that's where their defense has improved tremendously. If you have the guts to run it on 3rd down, you might make it, but they're going to make you earn it and really have that offensive coordinator's head spinning with an exotic blitz coming. We've got to throw. And even the Patriots usually threw on those 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4s, the slant pass, a play action and made a play. Hoyer did okay. Going back to Hoyer real quick, just to get my opinion on this out here, Danny, Stidham was way worse. Way worse. Okay, so when everyone says, why didn't they go to Stidham earlier? Because he's not even in the same league as Hoyer. Okay, Hoyer made 2 giant mistakes in a game.
Right.
2 giant mistakes.
Besides that, he was pretty efficient.
He did fine. Protected the football, delivered some nice throws. He had to overthrow on the first play of the game. He threw it in danger a couple times. But generally, he was a very professional quarterback is what Belichick needed. Don't make stupid mistakes. Run our offense. Don't get killed on a bad check or something like that, or not see a blitz coming. He did all those things. He made 2 bad plays, and they're so awful in Belichick's minds. You're coming out of here,
right?
But Stidham, that touchdown, he's floating the ball up there. There's more luck than anything else. He looked totally lost. He gave them 0 chance of winning the game. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but Hoyer did his job, except for he blew it in where New England does not accept blowing it.
Right.
If he'd have fumbled at the 50-yard line on a 2nd and 7, being strip sacked, Belichick would say fine. Stuff happens, but not when you're down in the scoring area and you can tie the game.
Yeah.
So Hoyer's game management, understanding of time, score, all that was so bad that Bill Belichick
threw up his hands.
I was wondering what would he say to him at halftime. I bet he wouldn't rip him a new one like he would most people, just because they have no other option. He's the backup quarterback. Right. But he still was pretty tough on him, said, go sit down. Did you see how pained Hoyer was on the sideline? I mean, he wanted to cry.
Right.
He said, I missed my opportunity. I needed to do this. Belichick didn't have to yell at him prime for him to feel like an inch tall.
The biggest moments, some people just aren't prepared for him. We saw it in that playoff game. We saw it last night. He otherwise doing pretty well. And you just wonder, I thought this while I was watching the game, what is it like to be Brian Hoyer? I mean, he's been a backup in this league for a long time. He's made millions. He's a rich man. But the self-esteem aspect has got to be in question because every time he's had the chance to really do it, he's like a professional golfer who's made a whole bunch of money, but he's never won a tournament. I mean, that's really kind of what that's like.
Yeah. You're still, one of the 60 best or 75 best quarterbacks in the world for a decade plus. I mean, it's hard to beat yourself up too much, I'm sure, and they're cutting some big checks. But you're right. If it were me, I would not be happy. Because Chase Daniel, for instance, people joke about, we know him from Mizzou. We laugh about how much money he's made, Super Bowl ring and all that stuff, and he has not had to play that much. But you know what? When he had his chance and got in there, he performed.
Right.
So that makes you at least – now, that doesn't mean he could do it every week forever, but he did what he needed to. So, I don't think he should be embarrassed at all. But if you're Hoyer and you just kind of, darn it, this time I failed, but next time I'll get it.
Right.
And then the next time comes, shucks, didn't quite do it this time either. So the Chiefs caught a big break not playing against Cam Newton. And maybe the biggest, boldest thing that we need to put down is Bill Belichick's defense strategy philosophy will give the Patriots a chance against anybody, and I've believed that that's true from the start of the season. I really believed it after watching the Ravens game. When the Ravens game unfolded by halftime, my New England respect just grew. Is that weird? I mean, as the Ravens, and I played it out in my mind, they're not that big a threat to the Chiefs the way they play and the way they react to things. But that just makes the Patriots even more respected in my mind, that they'll give the Chiefs a struggle. And the one thing that Bill Belichick can go home with, okay, Belichick likes to change up things every game. He's known for that on defense. The one thing that he can go with a smile on his face about is he did not let the Chiefs know how they're going to play him with Cam Newton. The Chiefs have no idea how he will strategize with Cam Newton. So if Cam's available in the playoffs, he's not shown the game plan at all. He doesn't have to go to plan B against the Chiefs. He's going to be able to implement whatever he wants, which I think in the end makes him a little more dangerous.
And 2 out of the 4 games the Chiefs have played in offense, the other team has pretty much held them down. The Chiefs didn't have a play over 19 yards against the Chargers, and that game went right down the wire. And, of course, this one. Now they get the Raiders and Buffalo, 2 good football teams. How good the Raiders are, I guess we'll wait and see. Buffalo does look like a good football team. Will teams adopt this similar strategy? The Chargers basically never blitz, so that seems to work against the Chiefs if you can pull it off and get pressure. Is what those 2 teams have done, is it something other teams can copy?
I think so. One of the things that the Chargers really do is they pass off players in their coverage really well. And if you think about what the Patriots did last night, there was one great replay during the game broadcast where it showed the Chiefs running they have such fast players that they can run McCole Hardman from the left side of the field and end up on the right deep portion of the field and Tyreek Hill the other way. And most teams can't do that. They don't have the speed. It takes too long. But for these guys, it's legitimate. It's the most open pass route that you can have because it doesn't matter what coverage you have. It's almost impossible to not have a gap 20, 25 yards downfield. And what did the Patriots do? They played a cover 2 look with their safeties, but they didn't chase. They just waited and read the route so well and said, they're crossing. And when they crossed right into coverage. Well, it takes super discipline and route understanding and great coaching to not bite on anything else. And I thought the Chargers, studying the Chargers a little bit more after the Chiefs game, like what do they do? Sure, they have a good pass rush with those 4 guys up front, and 2 of their best players are bringing the heat. They know the Chiefs, so they're used to playing against them. But I thought when you look at the Chargers' coverage, they do a good job of saying, we got 5 guys back here, and then when the ball snapped, they all run and move positions. And they say, I might be on the right side middle, but I'm going to cover left middle area. And so it's hard to say what coverage they're in because when they get to their final destination, it's probably a certain coverage, like, hey, it's cover 3, it's man under, all those things. But they do a great job of just saying, what the heck, we're good enough, let's run after the ball snap to our area. And I think that makes Patrick he has to wait a second. Right. And that takes the rhythm away. Still, if Tyreek Hill comes opening up like against the Patriots, he just stuck it right on him, said, ha, do what you want. I see Tyreek's wide open. Kelsey, again, had a 45-yarder. That was easy. So I think if teams can really discipline themselves, when you do that, what's the key? Those 3, 4, and probably even 5 guys have got to be on the same page. When they mess with you like that and don't show where they're supposed to be and do kind of unusual things and move to another area, if someone doesn't do it right, it's the easiest touchdown ever. And so teams aren't going to be able to execute this very well.
Right.
The Chargers practice to beat the Chiefs all the time, fans. They do.
Right.
Division foe.
Right.
Rival. And the best in the league. So what the Chargers do, you can't say, every opponent's going to be able to do that. Buffalo doesn't spend every day of the week
right.
worrying about the Chiefs. The Chargers do. So I think let's credit the Chargers, but they're a division foe. Let's really credit the Patriots, but I don't think this is going to end up being a problem for the Chiefs.
Well, I don't either. And then they'll probably have a lot of nights like that spectacular performance against the Ravens on a Monday night. Well, some spectacular, some far less in the college ranks. We'll talk about that coming up next with Stan on our Danny and Stan's Football Weekend presented by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support. And thank you for continuing to shop local.
Let's spend a minute with Dr. Brad Woodle, who, along with his wife, Dr. Christina Woodle, the owners of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, my home for chiropractic care. And first of all, just tell us about the wide range of services you offer.
Danny, we offer comprehensive chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapy, and rehab. We do a very thorough examination, x-rays on site as necessary, and we have a full rehabilitation department, so we can help out with exercises, stretches, different therapies for the complex, but also the very simple conditions we treat.
You have been deemed essential and have remained open all through this COVID-19 process. What are some of the things you've done to make sure that was the case?
From the very beginning, in March, we started to make sure that we were cleaning and sanitizing with EPA-registered sanitizing products. We also implemented masks way before the state required them. We implemented a parking lot waiting room, took out half of the chairs in our waiting room, and made sure to space out visits so we could appropriately meet, discuss, and also screen patients to make sure we were taking care of healthy people.
Find out more about Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture and how they can help you at asfca.com. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident. From David Cowan, visit WreckExpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Let's talk some college football with Stan Weber, and it was an interesting day of college football. The one caveat to this is the Kansas Jayhawks made sure that you didn't have to flip channels during the Kansas State and Kansas game, so you could concentrate on a good football game, which it was. Let's start with Kansas State, who, again, won a tough, even, hard-fought game. This one far different than the Oklahoma game, where it was sort of a tale of two segments of the game, one completely dominated by Oklahoma, one completely dominated by Kansas State. Kansas State was the better team for a while, but both teams ended up having to play backup quarterbacks. So it was a wildly interesting game on a lot of levels. Texas Tech's quarterback seemed to slowly get more comfortable during the course of the game. Same with for the Cats with Will Howard, who at first looked like, you would expect, but then ended up making one huge play in the game. But the overriding message of Kansas State in these games is that they found a way to win them. I mean, it sounds simple, but it seems like, they had that DNA with Bill Snyder. It seems like Chris Kleiman, who has won almost all the games he's ever coached, has that DNA himself that, okay, this game may be slipping away, as it was. Looked like Texas Tech had all the momentum. But Kansas State made a couple of big plays and then put the game away. I mean, very impressive.
Yes. First of all, K-State really has a deep DNA, if you want to call it, from Bill Snyder. When he taught them how to keep fighting and how to find a way to win, it was not a fleeting teaching of this group of kids. It's a program issue, and it's handed down like some great traditional.
And people may, have at one point probably would have said, I don't know if they can. Well, Chris Kleiman is proving that this can be a program issue. He's making it one.
Yeah, but I don't want to discount what Chris Kleiman's doing because he brought that. He had that at North Dakota State, period. They played plenty of close games. Everyone just says, they win every game. They don't win like Clemson by 25 points every game. They have some – Missouri Valley Conference is really hard, and teams are shooting for them. They always fought and found a way to win. And so it's really works because Chris Kleiman is trying to teach us from day one. No matter what school he went to, he would be trying to impose here's how we did it at North Dakota State. Here's an important factor. You got to have the will to win. You got to have the belief and love of each other. You've got to take it one play at a time, all those kind of things, right? And so he is teaching that in spades, but he's got such a great foundation to teach it to.
Right.
I mean, this isn't Les Miles trying to teach Kansas to turn it around, okay? K-State players, they may not have a 10-2 record every year in regular 12-game football, Danny, but they have a tough mindset that they're not going to give up. They're going to be there all day long. They know the little things might make a difference. Put them all together, and it really shows. There's a complete belief. It's almost a 100% purity now when you add the foundation on to this is Chris Kleiman's football team. This is not Bill Snyder's football team at all. I mean, he's been there long enough, and COVID seems like it's like 5 years worth of time period in our brains, I think. So, these players don't know where they learned it, but they know their coach believes in it. And it's a big thing because K-State did a really nice job in the first half. First of all, for the third straight game, the first time the opponent comes out to punt, the first time they design a block and get there and get it done. So they block a kick, score a touchdown, lead 14-0, and a high-powered Texas Tech offense with the best quarterback that they've had in the last couple of years, Alan Bowman, the starter that they won in the ball game. He played only part of the game before he got hurt. So there was a transition to the backup, a kid who transferred in from Utah State where Matt Wells had coached before, a veteran. But still, they were Texas Tech, and they got shut out in the first half. They didn't score. First time since 2011 they didn't score in the first half. And their Texas Tech offense is lethal. And if you want to be Chris Kleiman, he said, hey, they scored 21 points at the end of the day. I'll take it every time. But how they scored was just grasp the game in the third quarter, which has been the best quarter for Tech this year. And sure enough, they did it again. They went so far that they went ahead of K-State.
Right.
So the Cats had a 14-point lead, playing well on defense, following up that Oklahoma defensive performance, and now all of a sudden the momentum's gone. Well, what does that remind you of, Danny? Well, and against Arkansas State, K-State led by 14 points before they reeled off 3 touchdowns and got in the lead. And then K-State came back but lost it again. So this scenario was out there. How are you going to fight through? And then you lose your quarterback. Skylar Thompson's out, and Will Howard has to play. And he comes in, and he's playing when the Cats are down. So it was an amazing job for him to have 2 big plays. K-State, for the second game in a row, gets big plays. They had a 66-yard pass and run on a bootleg to the tight end that Will got it to Briley Moore. And then they had a 70-yard touchdown to finish off the game, which is really not about the 70 yards.
Right.
It was about
getting the first down.
Exactly. And just so you know, Danny, some people have said or opined, written, whatever you want to say, media has said he threw a bad pass. And that is like the most inaccurate statement ever. It was a perfect pass. He wasn't supposed to lead him in stride for a 60-yard touchdown. Because if you study it, Deuce Vaughn basically caught the ball, Danny, facing the quarterback. He kind of slowed down, turned around for just a split second because he's so fast. But he basically turned around like they were playing catch, 2 guys looking at each other, and caught it before he took off, which meant there was a chance he almost got tackled by the ankles. And people say, well, he's underthrown. No, you do not want to put the risk of overthrowing him in that. He had overthrown.
The first down wins the game.
Wins the game.
You don't need a touchdown.
And he's got guys blitzing him. He's a freshman with blitzing coming from everywhere. You set your feet, put a little more air on the ball, drop it in so it's guaranteed a catch. We win the game if Deuce can catch the ball. He had thrown a ball a little bit high to 2 receivers earlier, right before that period, that went off their hands. Maybe they should have caught it, but he's a tall guy. These are shorter guys. Deuce Vaughn's the shortest guy. It was perfect. He executed it well. Deuce Vaughn executed it well. Now, Deuce is so good he went for a touchdown from there, but that ball was thrown perfectly. And so Will Howard has a mentality that's really advanced. He's mature. But the main thing is when he got in the huddle, the guys were like, we got your back. We're going to go win this thing. And that helps. It helps when you believe it's going to be done. So a big win for K-State. Texas Tech is dangerous. These games are going to be so close. You just watch around the league. And, I mean, Baylor and West Virginia, just a dead-even match. And that's what we're seeing almost every place in the Big 12.
As I mentioned, at the same time Kansas played, and there's really not much to say about the game. It was an unmitigated disaster from start to finish. Kansas has a bye now. They tried to go to the young quarterback. He gets hurt, although he didn't look the part when he played for whatever short a period of time he was in there. He certainly didn't, it wasn't like, oh, he's lighting it up and now he's hurt. What a shame. They just couldn't do anything. Oklahoma State, they made me look like a genius. In this podcast, I said I think they're about due to, become, or maybe I said it on game day, I don't know, on Saturday, but they seemed due to play a good game. They did. And there's just not much. Kansas needs something positive to happen here sometime soon, or it's just no matter what you think of the talent level coming in or whatever, which clearly is a bit improved, something good has to happen because that was awful.
Yeah, something needs to pop. We keep going back to last year and say, well, did you see that Boston College game? Well, that wasn't game 8. It happened early enough in the year that you go, whoa. And the Texas game happened mid-year. But after that, you didn't see the spark. And at some point, you just keep throwing stuff on top of the fire, and there's no chance the fire is going to start. And that's what they're at risk right now.
Put more lighter fluid on, and all it's doing is drowning.
But right now, you're at a super dangerous point. Next 2 games are on the road. You get a week off, and the next 2 games are on the road. Basketball season isn't lurking as quite as badly, and this is a factor, Danny. It's real. It's real life. These students, these players, they're on campus in normal life. When everyone turns to basketball about this time and talks about late night and everything else, I'm telling you, it's the most demoralizing thing. It's way worse than a Texas linebacker blitzing and you not picking him up. I mean, you think on the football field, but the psychology of no one caring about what you're doing, you're such a loser that they've quit talking about football in October, the greatest, I've been telling you, Danny, the greatest month of the year. Look at what we have with football, with the weather, everything else, and they're telling you season's over, don't even care about your games. That's not quite the same factor because basketball has got a ways to go to get its traction. So it still is football season, but it has to happen quick. Week off. Puka Williams is a little beat up. Hopefully he can bounce back, find a little bit of his rhythm. So that West Virginia game becomes giant because they'll come and play hard against K-State. So they got 2 weeks left in their season. I mean, they got West Virginia, a team that's not great, is in their range, let's say, and it doesn't matter that they're on the road. Doesn't matter.
No, it's not now.
Could be an advantage. Because the fans aren't going to cause you any havoc, and your fans aren't going to be booing you or not showing up. It's not bad for KU to be on the road.
Yeah, you hope they didn't pay attention because probably the worst look of the entire game was the fact that they had minimal seats set out there, and on about 2/3 of them, nobody was in them.
Yeah, well, because OSU's good.
Right.
They really are, and they got weapons. And now they got a young quarterback who, well, how good is he? Well, he looked pretty good out there, and they just grasped that game and gave KU no hope. It was – I read and hear about so many things about how awful KU is, but I go watch the tape when there's no scoreboard or announcers and just watch what they do and go, they're not that far off as everyone thinks. But this game made everyone's statements completely true. It was done. There was no chance OSU was getting upset. How many minutes into the game? 5?
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes into the game, it was domination.
Right, complete domination.
And that's what everyone acts like happens every game. It doesn't, but it did. So now you got to wait 2 weeks. That game at West Virginia and K-State. If they don't play well in those 2 games, and if they lose both those games, the big 0-10 is staring you in the face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the schedule does not lay out well the rest of the way. And how do you have any confidence? You're in year 2 of Les Miles. You can't act like, well, he's turning this thing around. And that's the danger. Year 2 is such a scary year for coaches. Yep. You better solidify. We talked about the transition from K-State. It's hard for us to divvy it up in a fair way because it's so intricate and complicated. The past program versus the new program, it's not easy to decipher. So that first year becomes a mirage in a lot of ways. Good or bad, it's usually not real. Year 2 becomes real. Gary Barnett says, talk to me about year 2. It's the hardest year. But I am not talking about it just being the hardest year. It's the most real year. It's your program. They're looking at you, and if you have success or failure, it's the new staff that gets credit or the detriment for it. And right now, if they don't play well in the next 2 games, 1 and 2 weeks away from now, I don't know how anybody can look in the locker room at Les Miles and go, yeah, we're going in the right direction.
And just to get back real quick from my standpoint, that's why Chris Kleiman, those 2 close wins he gets are so important. You don't get those, and
just think if you're 0-3,
year two is not going well. Well, it's year 1 for Eli Drinkwitz and Missouri, and in the coverage of the game afterwards, which Tennessee won handily, I saw people laying out a lot of positives as far as Missouri had moved the football and this and that. I watched every snap of that game. I didn't see it. Tennessee dominated that game. I guess if you wanted to just totally look for silver linings or had, Mizzou gold glasses on, you said, oh, well, maybe we found a quarterback in Connor Bazelak. I thought we talked about it as a litmus test game, and to me, Missouri failed.
We had higher expectations maybe than others who probably have written off a lot of this season for a number of reasons. Definitely the first 3 games, because the schedule is as hard as anybody in the country.
Right.
I mean, Alabama at home and then at Tennessee, who's
now
on a little bit of a winning
in
streak.
a row.
Yeah, Coach Pruitt's done a better job, and I really thought they played well. I thought Tennessee went and took the game. So I'm not going to be too hard on Missouri because Tennessee played up to their billing. They got some momentum. They're in rhythm with their coach. They believe they're a top 25 team, dreaming of being top 10. Because when you're at Tennessee, you always dream of, hey, you're better. But they went out and took the game and said, we're going to make plays. We're going to make 4th down conversions, whatever it takes. We're better than Missouri. We're not overlooking you, which is a great compliment to not overlook an opponent when you're the favorite. They went out and took the game. And so I said the season for Missouri did not start in week 1 in my mind. I said it started with Tennessee. Well, now I'm kind of, let me give them another break because I thought Tennessee definitely separated from them more than I thought they would. There's no way I'm a thumbs-up guy with what Missouri's done this year at this point. But I say, okay, I'm not going to be too hard on them yet. Let's see what happens another week, and we're probably going to have to give them another week after that. But it's either a great compliment to Tennessee how good they are, how well they play, how focused they played, and Missouri just wasn't as good a team, or maybe there's a little bit more hype. And I think Eli Drinkwitz, if I were sitting down talking to him, I think I'd really like him. I think I'd like where he comes from, how he's trying to build his program, how he is as a human being, and everything else. So I want to be pro him, but I think the media coverage has been, his press conferences are so good. And I just want to point out the press conferences don't matter.
Right.
They don't. The person talking to you at the press conference is not the one who's talking to the team.
Right.
They're 2 different people all the time, every coach. Okay? So Herm Edwards, we love him at the press conference, and I think we love Herm as a coach. But they're 2 different people.
Right.
Because you're talking to 20-year-olds. They don't hear you the same way. Right. You're using different words. They see you talk 100 times for every word you put in the media. So Eli Drinkwitz seems like a very smart guy, good coach, all those things. But for the media to go, boy, I have so much confidence in him. I didn't think Gary Pinkel was that impressive at the press conference when he came to Mizzou.
No.
And I don't think he was that great ever. But you know what? That dude coached them up, and they were a good football team. So, and then he'd make comments. He told stuff to the media, going back to Gary Pinkel. How about when he said, we'll always have a quarterback?
Right.
Wow. And he did it.
And yeah, he did.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen anybody more confident about a statement and then delivered on such a big statement.
Well, quarterback is even more important in football than it was then, and that was only 10 years ago or so. And so what'd you think of Connor Bazelak? He looks like he's for sure going to be the guy. I'm sure Robinson's like, oh, God, I better transfer again because I got my chance and now it's gone because I think Bazelak, maybe he'll just fail so badly that, Robinson will get another shot or he'll get hurt. I don't know, but you don't wish that on anyone. What'd you think of the way Bazelak looked? It was okay, but.
Yeah, he's fine, but he's young, not fully developed, not given a fair chance. Your team's behind against opponents that are better than you. Okay, I'm going to buy in. I'm going to say Tennessee's better than Missouri. I didn't go into the game that way.
Right.
So why can't they compete with them? But maybe your quarterback's young and Tennessee's better than I gave him credit for. So if you play Alabama and Tennessee and you haven't been told that you're the quarterback, you're kind of a backup. I say this over and over, Danny. When you go to bed on Tuesday night and Wednesday night on a college campus and you're the starter, whole different world than when you're the backup. So It is completely different when you find the pressure. You look around campus and you go, there's one quarterback starting this Saturday for this school.
Right.
And it's me.
Right.
And then you start questioning yourself like, well, am I really good enough to do this? And then, or you just get cocky and go, well, I'm going to do it. It's not good. It's a tough situation. So I think we need to give him more time. Will he get time at LSU? How good is LSU? How well will LSU play? I think it's more about LSU than it is about Missouri. If they want to lay around, Missouri could do stuff. But if they get after it like Tennessee did and go, you're in our house, we've already lost a game, we're trying to show the country that we aren't that game against Mississippi State, then Missouri won't have a chance because LSU's got better players and can play with the focus. I think Missouri's in a developmental stage, and I'm not sure they're as in good a shape as everyone wants to think they are. I think it's more of a challenge, not a disaster, but I think they're further behind where they need to be to finish off this year where they want. Like a marathon runner, I guess, Danny, you were a runner. You probably know at the 2-mile mark what pace you should be on compared to what you want to finish and all that. I would say Missouri's behind. Like they need to pick it up in the next couple miles to get back on pace. Yeah, it's a marathon.
Right, and part of it is the fact to conclude that their defense was supposed to be very salty, and they get pushed around in that game.
Yeah, so I just think, does that make sense? I'm not opining on where they're going to end up, but they're not on schedule to run the marathon or finish the season where they thought they were going to be.
And, of course, the caveat on all this is a COVID season. It's Eli Drinkwitz's first year, so really it
has nothing to do with where they're going to be next year.
Right, but you don't want to go out there and win 1 or 2 games. It's
more like, let's care about this year because you want to win 4 games instead of 3, 6 instead of 5, 2 instead of 1. No matter what, you're a competitor and you want to see your team win. I'm not pining about where Drinkwitz is going to be next year because this truly is
unique,
not a throwaway, just a non-factor in where Missouri football is going to be.
Absolutely. A lot of inconsistency we see all around the country. Mississippi State looked wonderful, and then, of course, they turned around and lost. Texas and OU lose. Very interesting college football season, to say the least. Dan, a pleasure as always.
Danny, we need some more time to talk about this. How about let's do it on Saturday on College Football Game Day on Sports Radio 810, because then we can even talk about Oklahoma versus Texas and all those things. So great doing the podcast. Congratulations to the Chiefs. First team ever in NFL history to go 4 straight seasons.
A
4-0 start. I mean, we talked about Andy Reid getting out to fast starts, but never in the history of the NFL has this happened. That is amazing.
That is impressive, to say the least. Thanks, Dan.
Take care, Danny.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.